you have this natural pattern of when you win games really hard. You just hard stomp. But then when you lose games, it seems like you're still trying to play the game as if you're winning, but you're not winning. So you don't have as much power. You don't have as many items. You don't deal as much damage, but you're still trying to play that way. And that's a really big issue that a lot of players face. Hey guys, before we get into today's profile review, if you're interested in getting your own profile reviewed, just like the one you're about to watch, or interested in the things I talk about in terms of coaching, personalized coaching solutions, please check out the links in the description below. Let's get into the video.
Like, I don't know if which champs are good for me. I got like Vex. I also try one champ and played for like 20 games, and I don't know if my builds is right, because I use Professor, like, you know.
Yep.
What I mean.
Yep.
So I usually build with it, and I don't know if it's best because against the champs against me. So there's a second one, and
Yep. Is there anything else you find you're struggling with?
I don't know.
Okay. That's all good.
Maybe I will find something when we will
Yeah.
in this call.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So, the first one, champ pool. So, just let me repeat back what you said. So you're kind of saying you're having difficulty sticking to one champion. Is that correct? Or
Like, I'm fine because I switch lanes from jungle
to mid?
my old account to mid. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find something that I'm good with, and I can play it for most games.
Okay, nice.
Veigar, Vex, and Silas and Zoe is okay.
Okay, so out of those champs, I would recommend not playing Silas or Zoe because they're really hard. Yeah. They're really hard, and you do not want hard champions where you're at right now because you're just trying to learn the role, right? So Vex and Veigar are perfect. I think that's a really good starting champion pool for you. You're not going to run into any issues with those champions. They're strong, they're consistent, they scale pretty well, and they both have very similar properties in some ways, but also very different properties, which means you can play one. You know, Vex is great into assassins because she counters movement and champions who can like jump on you. So she's perfect for that. And then Veigar is awesome for scaling. So if the enemy opponent's playing like Aurelion Sol or something as an example, well, you can scale just as hard as the A-Sol with Veigar. So both those champs are really good. But based on that information, so cutting out the Silas and Zoe and recommending the Vex and Veigar, do you have any worries about that? Let's say if I said, I want you to play Vex and Veigar for the next 3 months so that you can master them and so that you can find out what your like natural rank is in League of Legends when you play mid lane. What would you say to that?
It's alright. I mean, Veigar is funny. Vex too, so
Yeah. Okay.
I like to play them.
Okay, nice. So I would suggest, I think Vex is slightly the stronger one, and it looks like you're playing her a bit more, which suggests you are probably having more fun on her, and you're probably better on her. So what I would suggest is something like a 70-30 split, where you're trying to play Vex a lot more often than your Veigar. And there's a few reasons for this. One, it seems like you have a liking to Vex, so I want you to like pursue that. And two, I think it's really important at your stage where you're just starting a new role. It's really important that you focus on mastering like one champion at a time so you don't confuse yourself or get overwhelmed, because the goal for you right now is to like really find a lot of consistency in mid lane. And consistency comes from just playing one champion over and over again and learning them inside out so you basically can master them. Yeah. Also, if I'm talking too quickly or you don't understand anything, please just say, "Can you repeat that?" And I'll repeat it.
It's alright. I mean, you said that I play Vex more, but I like I played Vega for like, I don't know. I just did Mastery 7 on him and
Oh, okay. So you've been playing Vega a lot as well. Okay.
for the level 15, I guess.
Okay. Well, nice then. Well, then you can mix it up however you want. I was just giving a baseline recommendation, and generally, what I think is, yeah, like spend a lot of time on one champ at a time, and then once you feel like your Vex and Vega are at a very similar skill level, then you can be like, okay, let's split the gameplay 50-50 and like play them both, and that's my champion pool. But generally, people like lean to one champion more because they just find them more enjoyable or they have more success on them. And at your rank, I think Vex is just the easier champion to get wins with. But also, if you prefer to have like, you know, play Vega as much as your Vex and you're okay with maybe climbing a bit slower because of that, that's fine. It's not like Vega can't win games or anything. Vega is still a very strong champ. It's just Vex is a bit easier to win games with, but not like noticeably different.
Right.
Okay, cool. So do you think you've got your champion pool sorted for at least the short term now?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So itemization, let's get on to that. So you said that right now you're just using Professor, and to be honest, that's completely fine because you're just learning the role. And so what I'd say is keep going with Professor, but also maybe start looking at implementing another site such as u.gg and just like making sure that all the sites are saying the same thing. So if Professor is saying a really different build to, let's say, what Mobalytics is showing here, what I want you to do is, it's basically called critical thinking, but it's basically going, okay, Professor is showing me this build, u.gg is showing me this build. Why are they different? And start thinking about, okay, so Professor wants me to go this item over this item. Okay, why does it suggest that? Is it just because the win rate's higher? Is it because this item makes more sense on Vex? Like Zhonya's is a really good second or third item on Vex sometimes because you need that after you like engage with your ult. Sometimes you need a Zhonya's straight away, as an example. So what you really need to get to is once you're comfortable with the basic build path for Vex of, you know, whatever you're going right now. Let me see. This is fine. Ludens into Shadow Flame into Zhonya's is looking like your base build path, and then sometimes you're going Void stuff. All perfect. What I want you to start doing now is basically your first two items on Vex are almost always going to be the same, or your first at least one item. And that is your Ludens is always going to be the first item you get. And then where it gets interchangeable or where you can mix it up is on your second item that you're buying, your second big item. So, as an example, what is Zhonya's good for? So let's say, what would you buy Zhonya's for?
Yeah, against like assassins.
Mm-hmm.
With, Kayn, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Master.
Exactly.
Oh, Master. Yeah, Master.
So, yeah, Master Yi. So if you're struggling after you buy your Ludens into champs like that, well, then you buy Zhonya's second, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Right.
And then let's say you're really far ahead and you don't really need that protection. What could be a good second item on Vex? You want to really, like you're like 4-0 out of lane and you want to like increase your AP a lot and you want to deal heaps of damage and they don't have too many tanks. You know, you're going for their squishies. What's a good second item?
Shadow Flame.
Yeah, Shadow Flame or Death Cap. Perfect. Now, let's say you've done well and you're starting to see the enemy team build a lot of magic resist items. Force of Nature, more of Malmortius, Banshee's Veil. What would you buy?
Like against magic resist, right? So,
Yeah.
So white stuff.
Exactly. So now, I think you've actually got a really good understanding of basic itemization. I just think you might be relying on Professor too much. So Professor is really good for understanding itemization when you have no clue about why someone should buy Void Staff or why someone should build Zhonya's. But when you can answer the questions that you just answered for me, you can start going and thinking about, okay, I just finished my Luden's Echo. what do I need to buy second? So you don't want to autopilot your second item purchase. You really want to think, do I go Zonya's? Do I go Shadow Flame? Do I go Death Cap? Or do I go Void Staff? Because all those items are fine as a second item, depending on how the game is going, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Cool.
I understand it.
Yeah. So yeah, Porifest is really good, but make sure you don't let it do all the decisions for you, because you still need to think about the game and think about what you need to build. Okay, awesome. So, what else? What are you struggling with? Anything else? Do you have any questions based on what we just talked about?
I don't know, like, I don't think I have like any questions, but if you can just look on some games that I lost and where was the problem, or I don't know.
Yep.
If you want to, if you have like time.
Yeah, for sure. Let me check something. You're on eWest, yep. So, have you ever... Oh. Aren't? Oh, wait. Oh, right. Oh, sorry. There's a... Yeah, you're right. I was like, what? Cool. Okay, so have you heard of Mobalytics before?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool...
Stuff.
Okay, I'll send this link to you in the chat so you can look at it after you go. Now, Mobalytics is really good for understanding some key statistics that op.gg and some other sites don't do. So when I look at someone's account, I look at this. So this is your goal difference of 15. So this basically suggests, are you coming out ahead of in laning phase, or are you losing laning phase? So basically, are you winning laning phase, or are you losing laning phase? So a really good one to see. And we'll probably see that Veigar, wow, you're ahead 600 gold. So that's like 2 kills on average. Really good. And Vex, you're ahead 300 gold, which is quite interesting. I'm very surprised that your Veigar early game is better than your Vex, but maybe that's just because you're a bit better on your Veigar. You have a lot more mastery on him or something. Mm-hmm. But that's a really good sign. So I'd say, okay, you as a player have a really strong laning phase. So you're really good in the first 15 minutes of generating a lead. So you don't really need to focus on that too much. Just make sure you're CSing correctly, you're recalling correctly, and you're not dying too much to jungle ganks. Those are really the 3 things you need to focus on in laning phase. Now, the next thing I'd look at is, okay, gold share is pretty good. Damage share is pretty good. I don't really care too much about anything else here. The one thing I'd look at is in your losses, you tend to die a lot. So if you look at your wins, 10-0, 4-3, 10-2, and then you look at your losses, 15-10, 9-10, 2-6. You have this natural pattern of when you win games really hard. You just hard stomp. But then when you lose games, it seems like you're still trying to play the game as if you're winning, but you're not winning. So you don't have as much power. You don't have as many items. You don't deal as much damage, but you're still trying to play that way. And that's a really big issue that a lot of players face, is understanding how strong I am in relation to this game and then playing accordingly. So this is probably going to be the next big thing that you really need to work on over your next like 40, 50 games, particularly in ranked, is, well, how do I play from behind? And I can't really give you specific answers on this, but generally when you need to play from behind or you're losing the game, you need to play a lot safer and a lot smarter. And that means don't go reckless coin flipping kills because you're dying way too much when you do it. As an example, I'm just looking at these games. What you more need to do is think smartly and go, okay, we're behind. How can we get ahead? Is it giving up a dragon to take a turret in mid lane? Is it giving up Baron to take a dragon? You know, as an example, like you got to start thinking about, okay, if we can't beat their enemy team at a straight 5v5, or I can't beat my lane opponent in a 1v1, well, how can I change the rules of the game? So it's like, okay, if I'm losing lane, well, maybe I should go roam, as an example. That's a really good way to go, okay, I'm not going to win the game through my lane, so how about I go roam? Because Vex is great at roaming, as an example. And these aren't actual examples that you should implement, but it's more about thinking about, okay, if I'm losing the game and I'm currently playing this strategy, well, in this very game, I need to change my strategy because the current strategy isn't working. If that makes sense. It's like you're trying keys on a door and the first key doesn't work to unlock it. You're like, well, okay, that it's logical that I just try another key, right? You don't keep trying with the wrong key to open the door because it's never going to work. It's the same in League of Legends. If you're trying a certain playstyle and it's not working, maybe the game's just unwinnable, but it's always worth to try a new strategy and see if the strategy is the issue. And that's something that a lot of players at your rank need to think about a lot more.
I mean, if you look at the game that I have 9-10,
Yep.
yeah, the cane was like kind of problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem. And that's what I mean. Some games you're just going to have like these anomalies where like the jungler is just 27-2 and you can't even play the game. And what you need to learn as a player is we don't really care too much about those games. We need to move on from those games because it's basically an unwinnable game. And maybe this game was winnable, but I'm just saying as an example, looking at this, I wouldn't even focus too much on a game like this as an example.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But that's another skill as well, understanding which games are worth like reviewing and analyzing and which games aren't, because you're going to have like this real split of like 33% of your games, you're not going to be able to win them no matter what you do. 33% of your games, you'll basically win them no matter what you do. And then the other 33% are the ones where you really need to focus and be like, okay, how can we win this game? I have impact. I can change the outcome. Awesome. But yeah, that's really the biggest issue I see with you. You have a really strong laning phase. You're a pretty decent player when you're ahead. You just need to learn how to play from behind.
all right.
Cool. So what I recommend is your next steps. I would say I want to see you play like, I don't know how much League you play a day. You play what, 2 or 3 games a day?
Yeah. Like if you would scroll down, I think the 20 games I played in
Okay.
3 days.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so you play a lot. Okay, that's good. So what I would like to see is I want to see this account get to level 30. Then I want to see, I'll write this down. 1, get account. 2. So the next thing I want to see you do is 50 games between Vex and Veigar, because what this is going to do is this is going to show you what your kind of a baseline rank you can achieve. So I don't care about what your rank is after 10 games. I don't care, and you shouldn't either, about what your rank is after 20 games, 30 games. Get to 40 to 50 rank games and then go, okay, cool. Right now in mid lane, I'm playing at a bronze 2 average or a silver 1 average or whatever, because at the end of the 50 games you'll be a rank. Will you be silver 3? Will you be bronze 2? Whatever. Just play the games and see where you land, and that's what your next steps need to be. And then once you get there, talk to me, because I can't tell what your issues are going to be. We don't have enough information here. What I need to actually give you more meaningful advice on your next steps of like, hey, you do need coaching, or hey, you need to do this, or hey, you need to improve this. I need to see the 40 to 50 rank games, and I need to understand your skill level compared to the people you're playing against. And then I can give you the meaningful advice that will help you go to the next stage.
I mean, I'm better jungle than on mid, but jungle is, I got bored at jungle, so
that's fine. I want to see your mid games. That's why I'm saying I want to see the 40 to 50 rank games in mid lane. I don't care about your jungle. Cool. And then so once you get there, what I want you to do is reach out to me again and be like, hey, like, you know, this is where I'm at. What should we do next? And you might even have some ideas. You're like, okay, I really need to do this, or okay, I really need to do that, or I fucking hate Vex, I need to play another champion or something like that. But I really urge you to try and get 40 to 50 ranked games on just those two champs, and then we can think about building a new champ pool. Because if you're playing like 20 ranked games in 2 days, there's no reason you couldn't play 40 to 50 ranked games in 2 weeks. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, if you're like, I hate Vex and Vega, cool, we can choose some new champs. But I want to see you stick to these two champs in ranked for at least that kind of volume of games.